5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Papua New Guinea is a society undergoing economic and social transformation. There are more than 8 million people speaking over 800 different languages. The population is split amongst more than 10,000 ethnic clans, and it is spread over 600 different islands. Simply put, Papua New Guinea is a very diverse country. Though the people are diverse, the country's economy remains dominated by just two broad sectors. The first is agricultural, forestry, and fishing sectors, which engages most of Papua New Guinea's labor force. The second is the minerals and energy extraction sector, which accounts for the majority of export earnings and GDP in the country. The value of exports and imports is 61.6% of the national GDP, and the average tariff is relatively low at only 2%. But there are a lot of non-tariff barriers that affect trade flows into the country. Land ownership and investment are difficult in Papua New Guinea as well. This means that for foreign investors, they may not be able to own land or invest in several different areas due to restrictions. To diversify, Papua New Guinea would want to look at their assets and increase employment. To do this, foreign investment would be vital in strengthening the society. It would allow for improved institutions, human capital, and infrastructure. Much of the land is underdeveloped as well, so improving things such as electricity, telecommunications, roads, and other transportation methods would be necessary for the country.
Papua New Guinea is considered a small island developing state, or SIDS for short. This means it has development challenges such as small but growing populations, limited resources, etc. One of the challenges that I'm going to talk about today is the excessive dependence on international trade. Papua New Guinea's main source of financial inflow includes exporting goods to places such as Australia, Japan, Germany, China, and Singapore. What are they exporting, you ask? Well, they're exporting goods such as copper, gold, palm oil, and coffee. Though up until 2013, the chart shows an increase in export growth, there was a rapid decline in foreign direct investment over the past few years, leaving a balance of about negative $200 million. The good news is there is already potential increased opportunities from Malaysia, thanks to the attraction of mining, oil, and gas sectors. Though the FDI remains weak, Papua New Guinea is looking to diversify it through free and special economic zone with Ledger Atlas, which is a blockchain firm. The low tax rates and financial access of Papua New Guinea are appealing to potential new importers.
With the knowledge that we have gained about Papua New Guinea through this project, the best way to further develop would include the following points which were previously stated. Though creating a development strategy for an underdeveloped country is difficult, these are the main points that we feel need to be addressed in order for change to be beneficial. In order to diversify Papua New Guinea's assets and increase employment, foreign investment would be vital in strengthening the society. It would allow for improved institutions, human capital, and infrastructure. Much of the land is underdeveloped, so improving things such as electricity, telecommunications, roads, and transportation methods would be necessary.
As Kristen previously stated, creating a development strategy in an underdeveloped country can be challenging. Lucky for Papua New Guinea, the potential FDI from Malaysia still stands because of the land's natural resources.
Hey guys, this is the second part to the Papua New Guinea GNL project. Stay tuned for further information. Thank you.
For child labor is employing children illegally in industry or businesses which is considered exploitative. 19% of the country labor market is scattered with child worker, and the percentage is still growing rapidly by 30% today. Boys at the age of 12 years old and girls as young as 5 years old. They are considered exploited as market taxis in urban area, carrying extremely heavy loads for low pays. Most parents force their children to beg or sell goods on the street for money. For wages, hours worked, and justice, Children are being forced to work sunrise to sundown. They are paid approximately $1.25 in USD per day. The country itself lacks access to clean drinking water. As a result, 28% of children lack the appropriate nourishment.
Trade with some of these countries are facilitated through trade agreements, of which Papua New Guinea is active in 6. The Melanesian Spearhead Group was created to develop the countries in an efficient manner by promoting free trade of goods. Terms of the agreement include eliminating customs duties on imports, forbidding quantitative import or export restrictions, and ensuring imports are not taxed higher than if the good was produced in the party's country. The Pacific Islands Countries Trade Agreement was created to encourage better trading between the parties. The countries hoped that the trade would strengthen the parties and allow them to expand into world trading. The main terms include not choosing a most favored nation, ensuring goods would remain tariff-free, and imposing tariffs if there is a danger of a decrease in monetary reserves. The South Pacific Regional Trade and Economic Cooperation Agreement aims to give the smaller South Pacific countries unrestricted access to Australia and New Zealand for a wide variety of goods. The objectives of this will be met by terms such as facilitating cooperation of parties in different industries, providing better training, and access to research and development. The World Trade Organization gives countries the opportunity to trade with less barriers than on their own and become part of a bigger market. Each country has different terms of agreement, but all parties must ensure their policies are completely transparent, work to improve the quality of debate on issues within the government, and each country is subject to intense review processes. The Economic Partnership Agreement between the EU, Fiji, and Papua New Guinea gives access to unrestricted trading in all 28 of the EU's countries. The terms of this trading include tariff-free exports from Fiji and Papua New Guinea to the EU, tariffs on imports from the EU only if the local economy is at risk, and the understanding that the agreement is open for all other Pacific members to join. The Papua New Guinea and Australia Trade and Commercial Region Agreement was created to continue building the relationship between the two countries through trade and direct investments. To ensure these objectives are met, there is free trade between the two parties. Parties can question the actions of the other party if their imports are causing a negative effect, and meetings are convened relating to Australia's direct investments in Papua New Guinea.
In terms of the membership of multilateral trade pacts, the Melanesian Spearhead Group is pretty much the only one worth noting for. It consists of 6 countries: the Republic of Fiji, the Canuck and Socialist National Liberation Front of New Caledonia, Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, and the Republic of Vanuatu. In terms of the creation of the MSG, it informally started in 1986 with Papua New Guinea and 4 other countries. However, it did not formally start until 1988. One interesting fact is that the Republic of Indonesia actually joined as an associate member in 2015. The reasons behind the creation are fairly simple. They both want shared political desires to be fulfilled. They both want decolonization and freedom of Melanesian countries. And most of all, they want to create a community where the peoples and the communities of Melanesia can all connect with each other.
Opportunities for establishment of horizontal trade pacts. Papua New Guinea is already a large exporter of wood, and with the Oceania region exporting 25% of total wood in the entire world, and with Asia, mainly China, importing 60% of total wood, it would make sense for the Oceania region to form a horizontal trade pact, as they are the closest exporter of wood to China. Opportunities for entry into already established horizontal trade pacts. As petroleum gas is the top exporter of Papua New Guinea, which is 28% of exports, totaling $3.5 billion, and being relatively close to the OPEC countries, they have the opportunity to advance the OPEC horizontal trade pact. Another one they have is precious metals and ores. They export more than Mexico, but Mexico exports 13% of total precious metals and ores. So they have the opportunity there, and the fact that they are close to the 2 top importers of precious metals and ores, Japan and China.
Papua New Guinea is an example of a country that's heavily dependent on its trading partners. It runs a significant trade deficit of $3.8 billion, or 18% of its GDP. This is because it's forced to import its capital goods, machinery, electronics, consumer goods, and fuel transportation, most of the goods it needs to survive. These imports are only offset by its agricultural and mining exports. Papua New Guinea exists in the core periphery model, doing 35% of its total trade through Australia. Likewise here, its import needs are only offset by a few of its mining products. Papua New Guinea's potential for expansion through the gravity model is dampened by the fact that it's so far away from other major Asian economies.